Alright. Oh, I just wanted to make sure it worked. Make sure that they could actually hear us this time. Alright. Alright, because I'm picking you up now, so question is... Yeah, I just went live. Alright. I'm live at the moment. It's telling me I'm live. Alright. Oh, yeah. Yep. Alright, let's see. I can hear you. Can the audience hear you? At BB, because BB seems to be our one listener. Alright. I am seeing green. I'm trying to see if can our peanut gallery hear us? Please, please tell us. Is anybody out there? Wait, oh, you're not hearing Jack? Oh, okay. Well, I'm picking you up. Wait, here we go. BB saying talk. Everybody just talk. Everybody just say words. Words, words, words. Here, BB saying he hears. He hears. He hears. Okay. All of us? Alright. Try hearing us now. We should be green. Yep, stream resumed. Can you hear us now? Talk, guys? Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hello? Alright, come on, baby.
Bambino Jr.
Oh, yeah. Talk, words, there he is. Words, words, words. BB.
Hello, BB by me, baby. Yeah, Bambino.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
a good one.
BB.
That's a really good one.
VB.
Where is there a VC
that I am not invited to?
That I am not. What is a VC? Does anyone know what a VC is?
Voice chat. There he is. Word. BB. One else sounds like a robot.
It's probably me. I suck at life.
Not Kyle. Oh, okay.
Oh, I was downloading. Sorry.
Okay. One came through. Oh, sweet. So you're coming through. Hey. All right. So I believe that means we're coming through, meaning that we can start. All right, John, talk real fast.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear all of us?
Hello. My name is Jonathan Cheenah.
2 out of 3.
Hello.
Hello. All right, he says 2 out of 3,
hello,
so I guess that works probably.
Yeah, the stream has delays, so let him.
If he hears one of you, he's got to be able to hear the other. All right.
No doubt.
So I think we're ready to start, guys. You ready? Yep, there is.
We're ready.
All right. So welcome everybody to MLR Tonight, the pilot episode of this new program for the MLR Network. I'm your host, Kyle Corbett, alongside Jack Alpha and John Cheenah. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing?
I am doing great, thank you. How are you?
Great. How about you, John?
I'm excited to be here, man.
Awesome. Well,
I'd like to talk about some great MLR action.
I am very, very excited to talk about some MLR action, especially this game of the week somehow, out of nowhere. Oakland and Texas somehow is the best game this week, and it has been incredible, and we have history in the making. So let's go through it, starting right here, actually starting the bottom of the first with South Shark on the mound. South Shark has had a little bit of a rough history in the last couple of games. He finally got a win in his last start, but Hopefully he can turn it around here in this one. In the bottom of the first, he got roughed up a little bit, getting 2 runs scored on him after ground out by Summers that scored speed, and then a single by G.H. Morello that scored Joe Trundle. That gave Texas a 2-0 lead. Then moving to the bottom of the second, Spike McBride was able to get a solo homer, his second of the season, giving it a 3-0 lead for Texas. Couple batters later, Jamarcus Speed will step up and hit another homer, his first of the year. That'll give Texas a 4-0 lead. However, the offense wasn't the story for Texas. The big story, Sloppy Thurston in his first career start for the Rangers, his second career appearance after pitching 2 innings last session. No hits allowed, no runs, no walks, 5 2/3 innings complete, 12 strikeouts. He has broken the Jerzone and Copper record, and he is 1 out away from a perfect game. What do you guys think of this? Jack, let's talk to you first. What do you think of this?
It's exciting. It's hard to believe that we might have a perfect game and a no hitter all within the span of like a month's time. I think that's pretty crazy.
What do you think about this, John?
Crazy doesn't even begin to describe this game. You got a team in Oakland, 2-4, visiting Texas. On the up and up in the past few sessions. Now they got this guy Sloppy. He comes in, absolutely traumatizes this Oakland lineup. Every single player in Oakland has a strikeout. One person has 2 dingers, who is arguably the hitter. Seriously, nobody had this game on their MLR, but every single person in MLR is tuning into this game. It's unbelievable.
All right, let's stop for a moment and talk about Sloppy Thurston. And for those wondering, yes, if there is a swing or a pitch coming in through, we will stop and we will take you out to Arlington and give you the live look-in. But for right now, let's talk about Sloppy for a moment. This is his first career start. He kind of joined as a little bit of a Discord presence early on, kind of the face, but he kind of got usurped a little bit once Morello ended up in Texas, and now has kind of shied away from the limelight a little bit. Is this his opportunity to become one of the better known, if not the best known, Texas Rangers baseball player and become the face of the team?
Without a doubt. There is no doubt in my mind about this. Sloppy is on everyone's mind right now. You go through that game discussion, all you see is sloppy, 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 sloppy. It's crazy. This guy came out of nowhere, joined up in Texas, and he's really looking to turn this whole season around for this team. It's awesome.
What do you think,
Jack?
Jack?
I mean, anytime you go 5 2/3 innings without a hit, without a walk, without anything, you're going to be making waves. So I think Sloppy just stepped on to the big stage.
What do you guys think about his all-star chances?
It's going to be tough, man. He's not going to have the numbers to back it up, but if he does finish this whole game out, gets that perfect game, it's going to be hard to keep him off the ballot. He'd have a win, a perfect game, and a save under his belt. So that's pretty good numbers right there of how little he sees actually pitched.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting, right? Because he's also he's an AL pitcher, so we also have to compare him with the AL guys for the All-Star game. But I mean, one perfect game does not a man make, right?
All right, good talk, guys.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Understood.
So we will, obviously, as we just talked about, we will keep you in touch for this game as it is going on. If anything incurs in Arlington, we will take you right back there to give you an update. But right now, let's talk about our lone completed game so far this week in Session 7 here in the MLR. That is the Houston Astros taking the long trip up to Progressive Field in Ohio. This was definitely an interesting one. In fact, if you want to talk about good pitching, this is the game where it started. Willoughby Hoos got the start for Houston. He had a pretty good outing, about only 2 runs, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, in which he set down Jim Boeheim twice. Yaxley went down swinging, Rodriguez went down looking, Autry went down, Frank went down. Pretty good outing. Did give up 2 runs. Why did he give up 2 runs? Well, in the bottom of the third, Casey 9 with a man on smacked one out to right field for his first home run of the year. Him and Filthy Frank both got runs. That gave Cleveland a 2-0 lead. But the big story here, once again, was pitching, as Tommy Foxconn got his first start of the year, as he stepped up and pitched a complete game shutout, allowing only 3 hits and 1 walk across 6 innings with 7 strikeouts. He sat down Thomas, Bongiovanni, Montana, Batter, De Leon. He sat down everybody on his way to getting clear of the game and giving Cleveland a 2-0 victory. What do you guys think about this game?
Man, you want to talk about a snooze fest? No, I'm kidding. He had 11 base runners, I think, in this game. They were few and far between. Houston had that chance in the top of the sixth. They had a runner on second with 2 outs. Weren't able to capitalize on that. So really, it came down to crazy pitching. Not much clutch hits there for Houston. So props to Cleveland. They deserve this win, man.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. The Astros only gave up like 5 runs, but they, so it's not a bad game from their side by any means, but they just didn't produce any runs.
Let's talk about Cleveland as a whole for a moment and this kind of pitching rotation they've got going on. Obviously, they have Big Tuna at the top, who's been kind of their ace since they acquired him back from Detroit after Session 3. They also have Tommy Foxconn, who obviously had a great game here. And then you have Sonny Streaker, who's an interesting acquisition. Obviously, it took a gamble sending Alfred Bain out to San Francisco to get Streaker, and he has very much a plagued history throughout the MLR. But he had a great run in the Eco game earlier this session. Only gave up, I believe, just 1 run in that one. Great game all around. He even got a hit, which was interesting. He stepped up to the plate and did some damage and got the go-ahead run for the Goldies. Do you think, is this rotation probably one of the most underrated ones in baseball at the moment?
I think it's too early to say. Tuna has way too many innings under his belt. He's been worked constantly this entire season for these guys. I think if Tommy can put together another quality start and maybe Sonny slides in, whether it be a third starter or maybe a reliever, I think this team could really turn it around here.
Yeah, I agree with John. I mean, I think it's too early to tell at this point in time. I think this is sort of like a really crucial period in the season, where just now, up until now, there are a lot of teams that have a lot of matching records. I think we're going to get to see a lot more sort of deviance now from a lot of teams. So this is a really important point, and I think that if they can get past that hurdle, then they've got a pretty good shot, I think.
Alrighty. Who do you think is probably the ace of this rotation right now? Do you still think it's Tuna, or do you think one of these guys in the next couple of sessions can
It's got to be, man.
Just solely out the innings?
Got to be the Tuna.
Just solely out the innings?
Yeah, he's been relied on, and he's shown up. He really has. He does have a 4.4 ERA, but that across the board is really not as bad as it seems.
That is true. Do you think it'll hold? Do you think he'll stay as the ace? Or do you think one of the other guys by maybe at Session 12, Session 13, as we get past the All-Star break and towards the trade deadline, do you think we'll overtake him to become Cleveland's main arm as they eventually make a postseason run?
It's tough to say, isn't it? I mean,
it is. And Tommy had a great session. However, the one thing that does scare me a little about this pitching staff is it is all righties. So if they come up against a lefty-heavy lineup like, say, Montreal, it's going to be tough for them. I really think they're going to have trouble with that.
That is definitely true. All right, just a couple quick notes. Cleveland will head to Baltimore next session in their Session 8 matchup, while the Houston Astros will host the Seattle Mariners in what looks to be a very, very exciting matchup. A couple of transaction news for the Indians. They did trade Trey Paste out to Oakland for future considerations, and Houston also made some moves. They went out and acquired Kev Ariana this past session from the Milwaukee Brewers in exchange for pitcher Logan Anderson and infielder Jingo Bajingo. What do y'all think of that trade? Kev Ariana is definitely one of the more active players in the league, but he hasn't exactly put up the best stats. What do you think about Houston going out and getting an active guy like Ariana?
So I think it's a very interesting move for sure.
Confusing.
I think with all due respect, I think my first thought was, I know who Kevin is, but my first thought was who is Logan Anderson. So yeah, I mean, a very active guy. I feel like that's in my book, it's a win for Houston.
Do you agree?
Logan does have only 1 inning pitched, and he took an L for that, which is crazy to me, and really unfortunate for him. But honestly, I heard some things about this guy bringing him to Houston, about Kevin, that is, bringing him to Houston, giving him a change of scenery. I think Houston not only won this trade, I think they stole this trade.
I think so too.
Well, all right.
Jingo has no numbers to back it up. This is a real unknown for Milwaukee here, so it'll be interesting. Maybe, give it 2-3 sessions, we may change our mind. We don't know.
All righty. Well, as we look ahead here, hold on one second as I fix this. All right, as we look ahead here, let's take a quick time to talk about one of our sponsors. That is the brand new Philly Pie Company out of Philadelphia, serving Homer Pies every session. Please visit our new location in San Francisco. Philly Pie Company, serving Homer Pies every session. All right, welcome back to MLR Tonight. Let's dive into some action out of the NL at the moment. Let's start with the Cardinals and the Pirates. That's definitely one of the big rivalry matchups here. Game going on in Pittsburgh. Johnny Dickshot got the start for Pittsburgh. He gave up a lot of hits, though. And St. Louis did not give up a lot of hits. Bottom of the first, Lance Lomax would actually hit a quick little home run. That would get him a quick 1-0 lead for Pittsburgh. And then Joey Bagpipes would follow it up with a RBI single that would run in Emmer Rock, giving them a 2-0 lead exiting the first inning. James Poblano would fire back in the top of the third of the single to center field that scored Trey Nichols, giving Pittsburgh only a 2-1 lead now. St. Louis would immediately continue their run towards the top in the top of the third with Brent Royal getting an RBI triple. That would score both Jebediah McGuffin and James Poblano, giving them a 3-2 lead as they now take a 1-run lead over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Justin Paglia later that inning would fly out to center field with the RBI sac fly. Brent Royal would come in, making it 4-2, and then Logan Ninefingers with a 3-run homer on a fly ball to center field. Steve Sherwin will score. Yule will score, and Ninefingers will score. 7-2. St. Louis is the current score. I believe Steve Sherwin is currently up to bat for St. Louis in that one. Johnny Dickshot got pulled after just 2.2 innings pitched. He gave up 9 hits, 7 runs, 3 walks, but did have 4 strikeouts. What do you guys think about this game?
It's interesting because I think, a couple of weeks ago, at least to start the season, the Pirates were red hot, and they have what I think you could argue is maybe like the most famous lineup of pitchers, the most famous rotation with both Crumple Puff and Johnny Dickshot and Darth Vader, and yet they've given up a whole lot of runs in this game, and I think if the Pirates pitching fails, then they're going to have a hard time.
Honestly, you look at this game, this is a statement game for St. Louis. Last session, they came to Montreal, who was leading the put a whooping on them. Now they're tied for first in the NL East with Montreal and Pittsburgh, and here they are up 7-2. Man, damn, they're gunning for that first spot in the NL East. They want to be the team on top going into the wild card, and it's going to be hard not to push them towards the top of the power rankings if they can hold on to this win in such a dominant fashion.
All right, let's hop around the NL. Let's hop from Pittsburgh over to Milwaukee, where the Montreal Expos are in town in a very intriguing matchup. Quick note, Danger Zone not starting in this one. The first time since Session 1 we have not seen Danger Zone on the mound. Ron Swanson is getting his debut start, and he's had a decent start, even though he's given up 3 runs, 5 strikeouts, 4 hits, 2 walks. The real story here is really only one offensive play the entire game, or one major one. In the top of the first, Montreal was able to really wake up Ron Swanson to say welcome to the MLR, as Zachary Benz hit a 3-run shot out to right field that would score him, King Fielder, and Jack Casutori, giving Montreal a 3-0 lead, and that score has stayed the same since then. Still 3-0, both teams have 4 hits. Here's the real interesting story here. Braxton Abella started the game with no runs, 2 hits, and 1 walk and 1 strikeout, but due to an urgent matter that was not disclosed, he was actually pulled from the game after just 3 innings, and Phil Coulson, primarily an infielder for the Expos, has jumped into the game and pitched the last 2 innings, also allowed 2 hits, not giving up any runs, and it has a strikeout, and at this point is on pace for the win. John, let me get your thoughts on this one first.
Man, you know what? I will announce this now. This is official. Braxton Abella will not be returning to the MLR. He has been, unfortunately, some circumstances have changed his eligibility for the team. So, with that in mind, how awesome is it to see Phil on the mound, pitching an absolute beaut for these guys. This Brewers lineup is absolutely scary. You got some guys with some crazy batting averages. The fact that he was able to come in from the DH role sitting on the bench and come in and pitch like a monster. It's really, really under to have a player that's able to do that. So I'm very fortunate to have someone like that on my team. And Zachary, what else can I say? 417 average before today, comes in, 3-run home run first. Rest of the team has been, a little shaky, but seeing the 3-0 lead has my hopes up for the rest of the season.
What do you think about that, Jack?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Phil's. So I think it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. It's out there. I think it takes a lot of balls to go out there on the mound in a game, especially when you're ahead as a hitter, and to go up there and do that. There's a lot of pressure resting on your shoulders, especially if you're not used to doing it. So I take my hat off to him. I think it's amazing.
All right, let's hop over and do one quick other NL game.
Montreal for number one in the power rankings.
All right, let's do one other quick NL game. That is the Giants at the Phillies. Interesting story here as Hunter 2-0 after the controversial trade that sent him out to San Francisco will return to Citizens Bank Park for the first time since that trade. And on the flip side, the guy that went the other way, Owen Urich, will be on the mound against him. It's been a low offensive game here, but it started out with a bang in the bottom of the first when Charlie Bay Jr. got up and hit a solo home run, the first of his career as a Philly, giving the Phillies a 1-0 lead. Let's go scoreless for a little while after that until the top of the fourth. 1 on for Rocky Moon as he hit for Andrew Sourdough rather. He hit a sac fly out to right field that would allow Rocky Moon to come in and score and tie the game at 1. Later that inning, Hunter 2-0, the controversial man of the hour, would hit a base hit up the middle that would score for Sothoff, getting San Francisco a 2-1 lead. The game, I believe, is currently in the top of the 5th, or just ended it, rather. Quint Kimbrell, I believe, just swung, and we were waiting on a reply for that one. But as far as we know, that's where the game currently stands, a 2-1 lead for the San Francisco Giants. What do y'all think about this one?
San Francisco is my dark horse. I 100% think this team can go all the way. They've got that Hunter trade, bringing them in and having an instant impact for this team really says a lot. The clubhouse is kicking. Everyone's having a great time. They all love each other. They got a really nice pitcher in Schlom Schmeckel here. Some guy we really should keep an eye on. They got another new guy who on this team yet. We don't know what he's going to do. But if he pans out the way they want, it could be a force to reckon with, and they're proving it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a hard time cheering for the Giants because they're in the same division as the Rockies, So I'd rather they didn't win this game. But yeah, they're sort of a very quiet, underdog. I think not a lot of people are mentioning them, and everybody's focused on at least at the start of the season it was it was Montreal and it was the Blue Jays and now it's just Devil Rays, So, but I think they've got a really strong team, they really do, and they're proving it as well.
Alrighty. Okay. Alright, let's talk about all these NL games for a moment. Which one do you think is probably going to be what do you think is the most important game as of right now as we head into these NL division races going into the All-Star break of these three that we've talked about?
I don't know. I think it's too early, man. I know we're heading into the All-Star break and everything. This is session 7. I don't even think any races matter right now. We've got, 11 sessions after this one? Anything can happen. I think no one's going to bust out to a blazing lead except for the Devil Rays, obviously, as who are currently not doing so hot, which we'll get to. So they might fall back. And you know what? Honestly, it's any team's game. I mean, you could have a team like Colorado come all the way up the ranking next 5 sessions. You really don't know. It's really early, and it's fun. It really is. It's fun to watch everyone jump up the ladder.
I mean, I think we're still at the point in the season now where there's no lead that's insurmountable yet. Like even if the Nationals come back, even if they're 1-5, I wouldn't write off any team at this point in the season yet.
All right. Thank you for your input. We're going to bring up a quick advertisement really fast before we talk about some AL games. Let's hear from our partners at Smithfield Foods. Home of bacon, home of ham, home whatever you think of. Smithfield Foods. All right, let's dive into some more action right now. Let's dive into probably the biggest offensive game of the day, Boston at Tampa Bay. Man, have we seen some offense here. We'll start with the top of the first, where Ed Turner, who's been one of the better pitchers and had one of the better ERAs in all of the MLR at the moment, got completely lit up by this terrific Boston offense that has scored I believe, 11 runs over the last 2 games and allowed none. Top of the first starts out with Corbett's doubling to center with Halliday scoring. Then Corbett would score, Palenka would score, Jay Money would double and then score, McCluster would single and then score, then Saramubato would come and score. All in all, 7 runs came across the plate in that top of the first inning off of 3 singles, 2 doubles, and a home run. So then moving to the bottom of the second, Finnegan Freudenberger would step up for Tampa Bay, hit a home run in the center field. That'd score him and Grim Karp, making it 7-2 Boston. Only a 5-run lead for the Red Sox now. Moving to the top of the third, Chuck McCluster get his first home run as a Red Sox. Him and Money will both score, giving Boston a 9-2 lead. Also in the top of the third, Revitu Saramuto would hit his first career homer as a Red Sox, giving them a 10-2 lead. Bottom of the third, J.D. De Las Rosas, the speedy guy who stole home most recently, probably has a few other things to his MLR resume. He would hit a homer out to left his second of the year. Javier Abiscal would also score. The lead is now 10-4 Boston, and that's where we currently stand. Abiscal is currently at the plate at the moment. I believe no men are on base at the moment. No, scratch that. We have a man on third. And actually, just a couple of minutes ago, the lead was cut to 5 as Kenneth Moore hit a sac fly out that would score Finnegan Freudenberger. So Javier Abiscal at the plate. 10-5 is the current score in Tampa Bay. What do you guys think of this high offensive game?
Who would have saw this coming? Boston had a crazy session 2 sessions ago with Steichen throwing that no-hitter. Lackadaisical session last time, and here they are 3-3 taking on the juggernauts of Tampa Bay and just whooping them. There's no other way to put it. They're whooping them right now. And it's really fun to see these teams start to fight back and not roll over. They're not giving up now just because they're 3-3, man. This team, they got some heavy hitters on there. Can see it. He got 5 home runs in this game. Incredible. Maybe some juice balls. Who knows? I'm not going to mention that.
I mean, I think with the Devil Rays right now, I think watching this game, I think everybody is going, surely not. Surely they can't do it again. Everybody saw what they did against the Marlins. They were down like 7 runs. They come back and win the game. Now they're down. They start off down 9-0 or whatever, and and they're slowly clawing their way back now. They brought it to within 5 runs. There's still a lot of game left to be played. I think people know better than to write off the Devil Rays.
All right, let's hop over to another AL game, rather. This is the one that Wilbur Wood called the game of the session, but it hasn't really turned out that way. Minnesota traveling over to Safeco to play the Seattle Mariners. We are currently in the bottom of the 4th, I believe, in that one. Into the 4th, rather. My apologies. Not a lot of scoring in this one. In the top of the first, we had a little bit of action with Jarris Walker on the mound. He, of course, did not allow a run in his last start against Boston. Minnesota was able to get a sac fly that would score C.W. Mitchell, making it 1-0, and later in the inning, Lefty Lewis would hop on and score. Actually, Lefty Lewis would single, and Johnny Hopkins would come in to score, making it 2-0, and that's been the score this entire game. Tim Burr has been shutting out the Seattle offense thus far. No hits, no runs allowed, and 1 strikeout and 3 walks. He's been really well done this game. What do y'all think of Minnesota and Seattle right now?
Minnesota is a very interesting team in my eyes. I know that they're 4-2 right now. They're on the up and up. They really could take a decent control of this division, knocking Seattle down to 3-4. And seeing them have this 2-0 lead, that's definitely not the way Seattle wanted this game to go. They're having trouble getting on base. They got 3 walks. Not much else to show for that. So until they get that going, you really have to just look at Minnesota as a team to beat in this one.
I think so too. I think I would almost put sort of the Twins and the Giants in the same bracket in that sense, in that they're both just making sort of a quiet, solid push. They're winning the games they need to win. And they're just getting through. And they're not in an easy division. They're going up against the Mariners. They have a really strong team. The Rangers are up and up as well, and the same with the Astros. And but they're winning these games, and that's what matters. And I think the Twins have they just got they acquired Stone Steel just last night. They're beefing up. I think they have a really good chance of making it far into these playoffs, I think.
All right, let's quickly. You can talk.
1 second. big question for Minnesota here is they now have 4 pitchers on their roster, also picking up Pablo Sanchez last session, and they're still relying heavily on Burr there. He's got almost 20 innings pitched now, I think, this year. So it'll be interesting to see how they incorporate Daniel Collins, Pablo Sanchez, and Mr. Steele. With these 4 pitchers, man, if they all pan out, they could take the load off of Tim. They could really push hard into the playoffs and have a nasty rotation you can't prepare for.
Well, exactly. Like I think if they can, with 4 pitchers, they can almost do, almost like a real life rotation, and I think that's a pretty scary prospect. I mean, but it's also a question of, can they keep all of them happy? They're all going to want to play. And I don't know if as a pitcher, are you content only playing every 4th game? Or only coming in and closing a couple of games. I don't know. Can they keep all of them happy? I think that's also interesting to keep an eye out for.
Well, the interesting thing, in my opinion, with Minnesota is that they don't have an ace out of these 4 pitchers. Charlie Scott has been very vocal about how he wants to keep Ricky Steele after this new signing in the closer role, back where he was before, and he wants to do the same with Pablo Sanchez in some sort of relief role. So that means he's going to have Burr and Collins starting, and of course Burr hasn't. He's been starting, and I guess you could call him your ace for right now, but he hasn't put up the best of the best numbers. He's doing great this game, but then you have Daniel Collins, who's the fresh rookie. So are you going to make him your ace? So in my opinion, it's going to be really interesting to see what Charlie Scott decides to do with this team down the line with the rotation as we get further along. Which one will become the number 1? Who will be the number 2? And how's that going to work in the postseason?
Exactly. Especially as we move closer and further into the postseason and we get to the trade deadline. I also think having 4 pitchers in hand is going to come in very valuable before the trade deadline. Because teams are going to be scrambling to try and get those last wins before the end of the season. So I think it's a very interesting team that Minnesota have put together.
All right, let's hop and do one more quick AL game before we recap all of that really fast. Toronto on the road as they head over to Baltimore in Camden Yards. Big interesting game here as Levy Hiram will square down with Rob Pancakes on the mound. Chipper Dipper is going to be slotting into the DH slot today, which is a really interesting thought. Putting your pitcher on the 3-hole DHing. Although the offense has really only come from the blue side. And in the top of the 3rd, where Julio Cesar will get his first career RBI as he doubles out to right field and bring in Mike Concho. Later in the inning, Thomas Berry would send in a single that would bring in Victor Justice. And Milo Grams would fly out that would bring in Julio Cesar, giving them a 3-0 Toronto Blue Jays lead. All the runs have fallen under Rob Pancakes. He's over 2 1/3 inning. He has allowed 3 earned runs off 6 hits and has struck out 3. Levy Hiram hasn't struck out anybody yet, but he does have 2 walks and 2 innings pitched. Most recently, Chipper Dipper just hit again and got a double, so we have a man on second and no outs at the moment in that one. What do y'all think of this low offense, but kind of relevant in the division story, Toronto and Baltimore matchup?
Seeing the way Baltimore made this lineup with Chipper, like you said, as a DH, they brought him in now in relief to pitch. So they had this planned out from the beginning. It's an interesting move. You don't see many teams do that, using their pitcher as a DH and then bringing them in to pitch. So it's a really interesting dynamic. Blue Jays obviously have taken advantage. They have the 3-0 lead. So if Dipper can put a play like they with that double and come in and shut him down, Baltimore really can make a run in this game, and I want to see this get competitive. And Chipper Dipper, what a game for him, huh? That double just now coming in to pitch, he can really turn some heads for this All-Star voting if he does something crazy here.
Oh, for sure. And there's still a lot of game left. They're not even halfway through that game yet. So anything could happen. I wouldn't write off Baltimore by any means.
All right, let's take a gander of the 3 things we just looked at: Boston, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Seattle, and Toronto, Baltimore. What do y'all think of these 3 games and how any of them could impact division races at this point?
These guys, man. Toronto 4-2 and having the lead here on Baltimore is big for them. That AL East. Seeing Tampa Bay, maybe slipped to 5-2 after that game. Knowing them and their comebacks, maybe not. Toronto sliding into that 1 spot in the AL East is big for them, and obviously Baltimore's going to want to move up to 3 and 4. But if they can't, Toronto may be that team everyone's talking about.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think right now, I think the AL East is definitely one of the toughest toughest divisions to be in for sure. You know, you look at it. You got the Devil Rays. You know, they're 5-1. Blue Jays 4-2. Indians 4-3. Red Sox 3-3. You know, then you have the Orioles that have made a couple of big acquisitions in this last week. You know, you have Tigers as well. That's a tough place to be, man. Just like in real life, the AL East it's a monster division. You know, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over there.
All right. If you want to have a question, what am I saying? If you want to have a question potentially answered on the show tonight, PM one of us. PM me, Kyle Corbett, PM Jack Alpha, PM John Cheenah. If you would like to have a question answered on the show tonight, we may or may not be able to get to it tonight, depending on how much time we have. But we will certainly try to talk to you guys and see what you guys are thinking and maybe some discussion questions we can talk about. But first, another sponsor word from AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. You're welcome, Whit. All right, let's do some more MLR tonight. Let's talk about some interleague. Let's talk about Padres and Tigers. This is a really interesting matchup in many ways. Definitely interesting pitching matchup. Kyle Grimes Jr. going against Dick Woolridge. Woolridge got pulled after about 3 1/3 innings. Grimes only made 2 innings, though, surprising enough. This one is still scoreless. Not a lot has happened here. Nobody's given up any runs. Woolridge in his 3 1/3 gave up 2 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts, while Kyle Grimes Jr. struck out 2, but didn't allow a hit or a run. He was relieved by Sylvester Cinnamon, who has thrown, I believe, 1 1/3 shutout. Actually, no, he has now officially thrown 2 shutout innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. One interesting note here, following that big Morello trade, Detroit acquired Snare and Garrett Ipnob once again. Ipnob was a guy who's been sitting on Texas's bench, not really getting any playing time. Well, I can officially say that Ipnob has made his debut. At just about 2 hours ago, Ipnob did swing, and he struck out, giving Cinnamon, I believe, his 2nd strikeout of the game. But yes, Garrett Ipnob has officially played in an MLR game. What do y'all think of this matchup and all that we have going on here, or lack thereof, rather?
He got more strikeouts than base runners this game, and I really think that's all you have to say.
Yeah, I don't know what else I can really add, to be honest.
It's not a pretty game. You knew coming in, 2 teams 2-4, looking to go back. It doesn't look like either of them wants to win this game. So hopefully they got a lot of game left. They got about, 2 innings left. Hopefully they can turn it around and make this game exciting.
All right, let's talk about another interesting NL.
I mean, let's hope we get one for the board.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's talk about another interesting NL matchup. We have the Diamondbacks heading east to take on the Washington Nationals at Nationals Park. Interesting note here. Mort Stiefel did not get the start in this one, but there were a lot of reports swirling he would get the pitch, meaning that he would get to return home to Nationals Park since earlier this season when he auto-walked to start potentially the wildest of rides he could ever imagine. That would result in him getting waived and the Boston signing him off waivers, and then the no-hitter, and then everything that happened for Stiefel. So he did not start. Sid Kidd got the start. Each team has scored a run in this one, starting in the 3rd inning, in the top of the 3rd, when Dom Stakes grounded into a double play that allowed Andrew Drexler to come in from 3rd. Even though 2 outs went on the board for Arizona, Arizona was still able to take a 1-0 lead. Then moving to the bottom of the 3rd, Bo Kinsella was at the plate. He hit his first homer of the season out the center field, tying the game at 1. Let's look at the 2 pitcher stat lines. Jay Bedia for the Nationals has earned 5 innings, giving up 6 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Sid Kidd on the other end threw 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. Mort Stiefel was able to get into the game and return to Nationals Park for the first time since that famous auto walk. He's thrown an inning thus far, giving up just 1 hit. Actually, he started an inning in a 3rd after Charles Moore. That result just got posted. He got a single. And there's still 1 out on the board. So 1 1/3, 2 hits allowed now, 1 strikeout, no runs, no walks. What do y'all think of everything going on here in DC?
To me, the big story here is Smudge not getting anything done, man. He's 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Nobody really has been able to figure out that he got the 1 run. Bidet is pitching well, man, and seeing Stiefel come in and he's done in the past, there might not be another run scored in this game.
I think you might be right. I think it's going to go down to the wire. It's this might take it. It's a good thing we have another week left almost to finish this session, because this might go to a few extra innings.
7th, 8th, 9th, who knows?
Who knows?
All right, one more game to talk about here in Session 7. That is Rockies and Dodgers, a West Coast matchup. Not a lot of attention going on here out in LA, but Brady McElroy and Cameron Brate are going to split this start we have here going on in LA. Let's get you into it. Colorado has been the star of this one on offense. It's been all Rockies completely. Starting at the top of the second when Jack Alpha, over here, hit a 3-run homer that would score him, Jabloni, and Dick, giving them a 3-0 lead. Following that, Josh Roth would get up in single, scoring Ronnie Voss, making it 4-0. Rusty Kuntz would come in, get a ground in the double play that would score Gottlieb Giannopoulos, making it 5-0. As we move to the third, another Ronnie Voss hit, scoring Jablomi, 6-0. And then a Gottlieb Giannopoulos homer, scoring Voss and Alpha and Giannopoulos, a 3-run blast, making it 9-0 Rockies. Definitely 9 runs earned by both Brate and McElroy, splitting it 5-4, respectively. And Garrett Evans, on the other side, has not been striking out as many as he normally has, but at the same time has not allowed a run, only has 1 hit, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. What do y'all think of Evans' performances and the lack of a performance by the Dodgers pitching staff?
Well, I think it's pretty fun, to be honest. I'm having a great time out there.
It's great, actually, because we've got 2 guys that are actually in this game. Ham Solbrook and, obviously, Jack Alpha. Big story for me is Evans. He went 3 1/3 of no-hit baseball with the Dodgers finally getting their first hit from Valentino Sanchez and double this inning. So everyone was on the edge of their seats in Colorado. Fortunately, gave up that hit. So now they're really just looking forward to locking down and getting a W. I was hitting them 11-1, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it feels pretty good to actually get our. We've had a lot of trouble in the first couple of games. We had a great first game against the Diamondbacks. We won 7-6, and then after that, our bats just completely dried up. And we, I think we hit like 2 runs in 3 games or something like that. So we finally got our first win since the first session last week against the Nationals. So. Coming out hot here, and I gotta say there's a pretty good atmosphere in the Rockies clubhouse right now. That's for sure.
All right, you guys ready for a live look-in? Our first one of the night. So
let's do it.
Before we get to that, let's give one word to our quick sponsor, Cane's Furniture out in Florida. Thank you for sponsoring us, Cane's Furniture, and thank you for your new location out in Brandon. Be sure to stop by. All right. Let's get into this. We have our first live look-in of the night. We're going to head out to Miller Park. Once I can get it through. Hold on. Shoot. All right. Yeah, we're heading out to Miller Park. Expos and Brewers. Dark Bobman is at the plate. We have an update. The pitch is officially in. Dark Bobman, 250 on the season, 0 for 2 today. Final 3 outs here for the Brewers. Montreal is trying to close out the game here. Phil Coulson, 3 outs away from getting not only a win. Would he get the save too? No, he just get the win. His first career win as a pitcher and getting Montreal their 5th win of the year.
He deserves both.
Oh, yeah. What do y'all think about the Brewers' offense this game? I mean, in my opinion, obviously, Gerzone's the face of that team, but wouldn't you think the Brewers would have a lot more from the offensive plate? I mean, they've had 3 hits all game, and 2 of them have come from Twiggy. I mean, guys like Hitchens and Bobman and Organic and Brett Bug that have normally come through an offense all hitless. What do y'all think about this one?
How about Smegma at the top of the lineup, batting 462, 0 for on the day with a walk? They need to. If they don't, obviously they've only got 3 outs left, man. It doesn't bode well for the rest of the season if they can't get it done and get a position player.
No, I mean, I think it doesn't matter if you have Dan Gersone pitching for you. If you can't get people on base, if you can't score some runs, then you're not going to win. It's that simple. So they might have excellent pitching, but you got to produce as well.
It is impossible to win with 0 runs.
Exactly.
I was about to follow that up. You brought up a great point. Do you guys think that the result would be different if Dan Gersone was pitching this game?
Not at all. If anything, Montreal would have scored more.
I mean,
just kidding. I'm biased, of course.
I think again, I think the point remains the same. Even if Dan Gersone had been pitching and he hadn't given up 3 runs, if he'd only given up 1 run, they would still be behind because they haven't scored.
Exactly.
So I don't think the pitcher's the problem here, to be honest.
There is one more story coming out of this game that you guys might not be aware of. Matt Verdon, the left fielder of the Montreal Expos, was late to his first at-bat. He finally made it. However, unfortunately for him, he was unable to stay under the speed limit. So he got in, had his at-bat, got a hit. And unfortunately, as he was on base, a cop walked out and arrested him.
Wow.
He's the first official MLR player to be arrested. Not only was he arrested mid-game and replaced in the lineup by Mike Sub. How crazy is that? To have a player arrested on the field.
Wow.
I mean, it had to happen sooner or later, right?
With these people, of course.
Well, hey, it happened before the first perfect game, which may be on its way later tonight, depending on what we get out of Oakland. Still, for those of you wondering, still no update out of Texas out of Arlington in that one. We are still waiting on another pitch from Sloppy Thurston. And then, of course, Caleb Van Vactor will be up to bat now. And let's hop over and let's talk about that game for a moment. And let's talk about particularly Caleb Van Vactor. Obviously, he had a great year last year for Oakland, but has certainly had anything but that this season for Oakland. Oakland altogether has been struggling, but Van Vactor has really been almost holding that team back. You know, Rick Gymnast obviously expected a lot more out of him, expected him to be the offensive cornerstone for the A's, but that simply just hasn't happened. Do you think with a much better Van Vactor, that team would be winning more games? Is he the key? Is he what they need to get back to where they were last year?
Yes. That's it. Just yes. That's all they got to do, man. This team is not as bad as a team. They don't got a lot of with the rest of the league, which is why everyone kind of puts them down. They need a kickstart, and once they get that, man, they can start rolling.
I mean, I think, to be honest, I'm going to take the opposite viewpoint and say that, you know, baseball is a team sport. It never really comes down to just one guy. You know, you have to have the whole team. You know, if one guy doesn't produce, you have 8 other players that can come in and then put up numbers on the board. And I think that's what's going to matter. I think it's more of a team effort than it is Caleb Van Vactor's burden to bear, so to speak.
What other players do you think need to step up for Oakland if that team is really going to get back to where they were last year? Is there any other particular? Obviously, we have the Dingers who's doing well, and you have Notcher and a few other guys. But are there anybody else that you notice really, really needs to get back to where they were last year?
You know, their little dark horse there, the guy with the most RBIs for the team, tied for the lead. You got Kid Notcher there. He's having a monster year, and if he can keep that up and keep those numbers up and get on base, obviously more and more, not doing so hot this game, he can kickstart their team. I really want to see this team succeed, man. I really do.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I want nothing more than success for these guys, you know. And I think they have it in them, you know. I think, you know, they showed that they won back-to-back games, you know. They're not out of this yet. I really don't think they are.
All right, let's hop over to a little discussion question we had submitted thanks to Doc JM, GM of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who asked, which expansion team do you think has the brightest future? What do you guys say to that?
I need to hear that one more time from you.
Okay, which MLR expansion team do you think, of all of them that were expanded this year, has the brightest future?
I mean, you mean besides the Rockies?
Right.
I mean, you'd kind of have to go double Rays, right? Wouldn't you?
Of course.
I would also agree.
However, I will say this. Technically, Montreal wasn't around in season 1. Technically.
Well, that was a relocation more than an expansion, I would argue.
Shh. Of course.
That is true. The Devil Rays have...
No, you're 100% right. It's the Tampa show until they prove it's not. And the crazy thing is seeing that everyone isn't knocking them out yet and they're down so many runs. That really says so much about the team. They had that one crazy comeback. Nobody is counting them out the rest of the year no matter what happens. So really, they're the talk of the town. They're the team that's got it.
They're the team everybody wants to beat. And as long as you carry that around, I think you'd have to put them at top of the boards, because that's where they belong right now. But it's a long season. I think if you come back and you ask us the same question in 5 or 6 sessions, then we might have a very different answer for you.
Well, you brought up an interesting point. You talked about you talked about how everybody wants to beat the Devil Rays. So let me bring this up to you. There's a team currently beating the Devil Rays. I don't want to be a homer or anything, but the Red Sox, obviously winning 10-5, they win this. That's 3 straight wins. 2 of them were shutouts. Obviously, you can't exactly shut out the Devil Rays. But if they win this, that'll be 3 straight for the Red Sox, but at 4-3. How about them for one of the top expansion teams of the year?
I can't. Them getting rid of Stifle, while they did get some excellent return, I believe they got Voorhees and person. How can you get rid of the pitcher that just threw a no-hitter for you? That's baffling. And until they really do have to prove, obviously they won last session. If they hold off this session, maybe it looks like the best decision they've ever made. For now, until they actually get that dub, it's tough till they prove that trade was good for them.
I will say, though, that the pieces that
I think so. I think.
You can go ahead, Jack. Jack, you can go ahead.
No, I was just looking through their lineup. They've got a really solid bunch of guys. I think it's hard again, like you said, with Stifle and stuff. They're still. To be honest, the entire Red Sox, ball club, I think there's still some aftershocks felt from a lot of stuff that went down in the start of the year. They almost had to do like a rebuild, after a couple of sessions, So I think they've had a really shaky start, but if they win 3 in a row, then that's pretty solid. You can't ignore that.
I will say this, and the one thing that really doesn't bother me about the team in that no-hitter, they did only score 1 run. Obviously, 1 run is enough to win the game. And then they exploded this session with these 10 runs. So maybe it's a tale of 2 teams. If they don't get that crazy pitching performance from someone like Stifle and they only score that 1 run, they may not be. But as of right now, if they're scoring 10 runs against the best team in the league, the sky's the limit for them.
Well, last session against the Astros, they did get both. They got both an incredible pitching performance from Mador and Lester, who shut out the Astros, and then, of course, they scored 11 runs on top of that. And Voorhees and Emby, the 2 pieces acquired from Arizona, were a huge part of that. Now, interesting note, neither of those guys are in the lineup this time. Both are playing Eco. That's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. All 9 of these guys have been on the Red Sox before, I believe, from the no-hitter before then, and 3 of them are former Devil Rays, myself, Palinko, and Money. So a lot of that lineup strategy was based around getting those D-backs and the obvious trade bait, or not obvious scout bait for the Devil Rays out of the lineup and get some people that know how the Devil Rays play into the lineup. And I think that was a really smart decision by Jordan Peppers. And I think he's really starting to show himself as one of the better GMs in the league. What do y'all think?
I completely agree with you. Like I said, I think considering a lot of the stuff that happened, I think Peppers has done a fantastic job, really sort of like steering the Red Sox ship in the right direction. 3 wins in a row, dude. That's impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
The BBB is dominated, and it's nice to see.
All right.
I will say this. The only reason I am so hesitant about putting Boston so high is if they pull this win off against Tampa, then I'm going to take them fully seriously. Because taking out the top of their division in this manner is going to wake the league up. So once that happens, man, everyone will be talking about Boston.
Alrighty. Keep remembering to submit your questions to me, Jack, or John. PM it to us on Discord or Twitter or however you will. Let's get back into some games we've already talked about and talk about some developing storylines. Let's go back to the NL. Cardinals, Pirates. Still haven't seen really any chance for a live look in at the moment. Currently in the Cardinals game, Steve Sherwin is up to bat. I believe we are in the top of the 5th. Currently in that game, Darth Vader on the mound for Sherwood. Let's talk about Darth Vader for a moment. Vader's had a good year pretty much, but it's been very much overshadowed by all the great pitching we've seen in the NL. Where do you think Vader stacks up against all these big NL pitchers like Jerzone and Dickshot and all these, and Poe now, and all these other big NL pitchers that have really overarched what Vader has done for the Pirates this year.
He's my number one. That's it. He is, in my eyes, the best. Yep. I do not think Dan is better than him. I do think that Darth Vader has the edge.
Interesting.
The numbers speak for themselves. 1.01 ERA, 24 innings pitched. That's before this session. 3 wins plus a save, an under 1 whip, and 6K per 6. How do you argue those stats? How do you argue anyone's better than him?
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah.
And I think, let me double check on that. Let me look at the Larry Lance ladder report. I do believe Darth Vader did have the edge on Dan in the polling. Darth Vader was the number 1 poll of the Cy Young race. So that does bode well for him, and obviously people keep it up. Nobody can surpass him if he keeps these numbers up. These are one of the craziest numbers I've seen.
All right.
I mean, I think you look at their stats and they're almost neck and neck. But I think I agree with John. I think Vader takes the edge. I got to go with Vader.
Let me hop in here really fast and interject. We have a quick update back in Milwaukee. Dark Bobman has submitted a swing. He is swinging 69 here. Good job, Dark Bobman. We'll be waiting on a quick result from Frank Drebin. I believe that is the Pops and Meerkat ump team. So once they get that in, we will have that result for you live here on MLB Tonight. Let's go back to the other NL game we were talking about. Giants and Phillies with the whole 102-0 storyline. Again, Quint Kimbrell. That result, his swing has been posted. He swung a 509. Now we are just waiting on Ed Hakalugi, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, that is Finnegan and Johnny in that team, and they should be posting a result sometime shortly. I know Donk was looking for a little bit of help trying to get that result up. What do y'all think of Urich and Quinn? So Jay has been kind of reinventing the wheel with this whole Philly rotation thing with Urich, Quinn, and Yu. Obviously, pretty much 3 household name pitchers in the league. Moving Quinn to the bullpen and pitching relief almost every single game, whether it's going for the save or simply just trying to relieve and clean up whatever mess the starting pitcher has spilled. What do you think about this kind of change in the pitching philosophy that Jay has enacted over in Philadelphia?
I think it all has to do with Pye. Pye has the highest ERA in the team. I think Jay saw that, said, you know what, I think I need to get someone else, so he brought in Urich. And I do think he's going to go the rest of the year. They got the numbers to back it up. Pye's got to turn around. He's pitching for Philadelphia. So if he gets another good showing here, it'd be nice to see. Otherwise, I think Urich and you are going to be the guys in Philly.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's interesting, man. I think it's it's a crucial matchup for both teams. It'll be interesting to see. And I think the Phillies as well. It's like they won the Paper Cup last year. They're having some trouble this year. There's no denying that.
They're on pace to be 3-4 after this session, which doesn't bode well for them.
It does not. It's actually kind of fun to see. Like some of the veteran teams. Like the Nationals, the Phillies, the Athletics. Having a really hard time this season. And I think that says a lot about the new expansion teams. They're doing really well.
All right, I got a question for you guys while we're here.
Okay.
What's your guys' take on these meme swings? These 69 and 420 swings. Do you think they don't seem to pan out well for the batters? Have you guys seen any different?
I have a counterpoint to that one. The biggest probably meme swing, in my opinion, was back in session 3. You'd have to flip your history books over for this one. Dominus Nominus was at the plate. He hasn't done much on offense all year for the Double Rays, for that high-powered Double Rays offense. He's been the guy lacking. He steps up with, I believe, 2 on, nobody out, and what does he swing? 420. And what happens? Bam, out of the park. I believe it was a 9 difference homer. I think 429 was his number. He swings a 420, 9 difference or something like that. It was with under 10. I know that. 3-run score. I believe that's what made it 8-3 Devil Rays. And then, of course, you had the JD steal of home that made everyone go crazy, and then a lot of other things happened. But yeah, Dominus Nominus was probably the first one I've seen to use the meme swing and go crazy with it. A lot of times I've seen pitchers throw the 1 or the 69 or the 666. Oh, keep going?
Yeah, I pulled it up here. He swung a 420. The pitch was actually 430 for a 10 difference. And what that actually did was that tied the game up 3-3. They were down 3-0 before that. So that actually started their entire offense for the session.
Right.
And see, that's nice. That is nice. That is probably the only case that I've seen a meme swing actually pay off.
All right, I would agree with you on that. Completely. I think the thing with
the memes.
You can go, Jack. Sorry.
I think the thing with the memes is also that it becomes kind of like a double bluff sort of game. Right, because the pitcher doesn't want to throw 420, and the hitter doesn't want to hit 420 because both of them think that the other person's going to do it. So it becomes this sort of like mind game, and I think it's really hard to get it right because I think a lot of pitchers are afraid of that area, around the 420 region, and like you said with the 1 and the 69, but memes just sometimes you just got to do it for the memes.
And here we go with this. I'm going to bring you guys back to, session 5, San Francisco versus Seattle. Mr. Peters, Andrew Peters, the pitcher for San Francisco, one of my very, very close friends. He decided in, I believe it was the bottom of the 6th, top of the 6th, he decided he wanted to meme, and he threw in a pitch of 69. What do you think happened?
569?
Mr. Rob Atkins. He gets 89.
Oh, wow.
Home run, top of the 6th, 20 difference. Ruined a great game for Mr. Peters. He got bit by the meme just as much as the batters do. So it's a fun little dynamic there to see when it works and when it doesn't. Because sometimes it'll blow in your face like Peters. Sometimes you'll be the hero like Dom. It is fun, though.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's shift back gears towards the AL. Let's talk about Twins Mariners a little more. Not much action there. Still waiting on a swing from C.W. Mitzel. We've had a little bit of progress there since then. Mitzel is 0 for 1 in this game with a walk and a run. The interesting story, in my opinion, out of this Minnesota-Seattle game, which I thought we'd see a lot more out of this Seattle offense that made headlines last session, even though they took the loss. Obviously, we knew Walker probably pitch efficiently, and he's only given up 2 runs. That's still pretty good for him. Shutout and 2 runs in his first 2 starts. Give yourself a pat on the back, Walker. But this Mariners offense has been absent this entire game. Nonetheless, as far as I know, they are being no-hit, as far as I know. There has been absolutely nothing. I mean, we have walks for Pickle, Ripley, and Langley, but nothing from Diego, Kenobi, Tingle, Macklin, Slim Jim, all these guys who have been huge offensive assets that really showed up last game against Tampa Bay, even though they couldn't get it done. And they've really been showing up all season. They had a 7-0 shutout of the Red Sox, and of course all the runs they put up last game. Where have they been this game? I mean, what is it? Just nerves? What is it?
No, they were on pace for this, believe it or not. So if we go back through the history of this season, right? Session 1, Seattle took the W with 3 runs. Session 2, 11 runs, W. Session 3, 2 runs, L. Session 4, 10-0 win over Boston, W. Here we go again. 3 runs against San Fran, another L. Last session, 8 runs against Tampa, and another L. They have been hit or miss. 2 teams. You'll have them with 2 runs, 1 run, no runs, 3 runs, or 10, 9, 11.
Hello? I believe we may have lost John. You good, John? We may have lost John.
No, I can hear John.
Oh, I can hear him now. Sorry.
Kyle?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, man.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, you can keep going, John. Sorry about that.
I don't know where you lost me.
You were pretty much at the end of it, pretty much. You were starting to conclude your argument of how they were pretty much hit or miss.
2 teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, they're a tale of two teams. They don't have an in between. They don't have a 4 or 5 run game. And literally for them, it's been anywhere from 0 to or 9 to 12. Those are their brackets.
You want to chime in on this, Jack?
Not really. I mean, I think it's. I think it's not good if they're pitching. I mean, I really like the Mariners. You know, I really like their GM. I really like the team. I think they were one of the teams that won the draft. You know, I think they're a really cool team. So I think I might be a little bit biased, but I feel like it's just a one-off. I feel like they'll bounce back. But I think that loss against Tampa, I think hit them hard. I think.
All right, let's hop over to Blue Jays and Orioles once more. Not much action there recently. Most recent thing was that Dipper double. I believe we were still waiting for another pitch from Levi Pyram in that one. The Blue Jays, let's talk about them for a moment. They're 4-2. Depending on what happens in Tampa Bay, they have a chance to potentially tie once more for the division lead. That offense, the numbers look good at the top of the order. You have Graham hitting over 500, Lane Drew hitting over 300, Milo Graham's back in that lineup. What Mattis has done to assemble that lineup looks good on paper. You know, Sven Jorgensen, you know, the 5-hitters, a potential MVP candidate in the AL. You've got a lot of good numbers on that Blue Jays lineup, but it just feels like they're just missing that one guy that just stands up above them. Am I wrong on that?
No.
No, I think it's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah, you're right. They have those guys. They're a very top-heavy lineup, like you said. But then they have guys like Quentin Adams, not doing so hot. You got Ziggy Cedar, not doing so hot. So they really are this. Oh, and then let's not forget about Forrest Gleason, not doing so hot. So they really are that top-heavy team, like you're talking about, and they are 100% correct.
Do they need, let me ask this question, do they need a guy to step up? Do they need one guy to come up and be the leader? Obviously, you have Grahams and Jorgensen who have high averages. Do they need one person to kind of step up and say, all right, I'm going to be the face of this team. Let me be the leader, and let me go out, and let me be this offensive powerhouse, and let me do what I can do? Do they need one guy to step up? Because they have faces, and then they have guys who are outperforming those faces on offense, even though the faces are still doing pretty well. I mean, Drew and Grahams are both over 300. But you have Jorgensen and Barry and Grahams and McCarty and these guys who all have high averages. Do they need one guy, or is it fine with what they have going? And not to forget their entire pitching rotation, too, with Pyram and Dinka and Gasting. I mean, faces there. They've got faces everywhere. They don't have that one guy. Is that something they're going to need if they're going to make a run at the Paper Cup?
You know, I don't think it's going to be one guy. I think this team as a whole is very, very good. Like you said, I don't think that the numbers for Jorgensen, while he may not be as much of an active guy as some of the other MVP candidates, he's having that sneaky season where towards the end, if he keeps this up, people are going to be like, oh my God, who is this guy? He may be that one. This pace up. Obviously, a 615 average is very, very to maintain. Let's see, how's he doing this game? He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Is that true? That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So
that's correct.
If he keeps that up, he can be that person. And I'd like to see him step up and do that.
Anything to add, Jack?
Also, piggybacking on that, their offense, they've scored 27 runs this year.
Goodness.
And they've only given up 17, so that plus 10 differential is kind of big for only 6 sessions in.
I mean, I think so. I don't think you need one guy to step up. I mean, I think the good thing about the Blue Jays is that they seem like they have a really happy, healthy, good culture in the atmosphere, and like John said, they're good. They're just a good, solid team. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely contenders for me as well. I don't think they need one fall guy. You know, I think they're just a really good bunch of guys. You know, the faces are there, and then they have the guys in the background. But if the guys in the background are putting up the numbers, then, you know, I'd be fine with that myself.
Yeah, who are we to say, you know?
Exactly.
All right. Let's flip over to the other side of the lineup. You can keep going. What were you saying, John?
So I really do like that team. I think they got a very good chance to go hard.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's flip over to Baltimore on the other side of the lineup, which similar situation in the one respect, in which they do not have one guy stepping up and leading, but at the same time, that's a bad thing for them because they don't have really anybody putting up numbers whatsoever. I mean, you have Sane, Murdo, Falke, who have some accolades, putting up some decent numbers, but nobody's really being the guy with the good numbers. Good numbers are pretty much an anomaly out in that Orioles lineup. They don't have depth. Obviously, that's an issue that's tried to have been rectified by Dom Duncat this session with the signings of Sherby Fully Loaded and Nicholas Romero, and then a couple trades he's made, getting Charlie Yeager into the bullpen. But what is it? Is it a different why is it such a different situation in Baltimore? Is it just a couple guys that just need to step up more?
With Jack saying it's not about one guy to carry the team, I think in this particular case it's the opposite. You have Meerkat taking on a bigger role for the league, and his numbers have not been pretty. He's only got 2 hits on the year. Is that true?
That's correct. About 143 batting average. He is 0 for 0 with a walk.
Yeah, that's not what you're looking for in a guy like Meerkat. He's a big, ginormous name in the league, and he's got to start putting up those numbers. And same with the guy Sam Smith. He is not looking pretty out there either. As much as it's not about those two guys underperforming, if they perform at just a regular level, this team's taking that extra step.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think, but now I think it'll be interesting because I think the Orioles have actually gone out there and they've tried to be proactive, and I think they just signed 2 new guys like in the last couple of days. I think they're trying to add a bit of spark to that offense. Because they've got Chipper Dipper on the mound. Like they've got 2 really good pitchers. And I think if their pitching can keep at this level and they can get the bats a little bit hot again. Bringing in these new guys. Maybe getting the team a little bit fired up. You never know. I wouldn't write the Orioles off yet either.
Ooh, I got some breaking news into MLR tonight. You guys ready for this one?
Yes.
Montreal has gone out and signed one of the newest free agents, but Holo Colon, the strikeout lefty pitcher, coming in, going to try and help that ball club out. They only got one pitcher now. So having that new pitcher with no scouting is going to be nice for them. What do you guys think?
That is great news for Montreal. I mean, they need a second pitcher now. That Abello's gone. They've had a lot of struggle with getting that second arm and getting someone to bury the load for Tiberius. Abello tried to be that guy. We saw what happened. They tried Maymoon. That didn't work. So now they have another opportunity, and perhaps third time's the charm for Montreal. I think Cologne may be the guy that can relieve some of the innings off Tiberius. I assume he'll probably get some eco innings before Session 8 gets underway, and hopefully that'll be enough to potentially work him out of the bullpen, or they'll let Tiberius go 6 and let him start Session 9. But whatever Montreal decides to do, I think this is a great chance for them to get that second arm, potentially, and work their way towards a better record.
To add on to that, Mavericks, Medicine Hat Mavericks, the eco team of Montreal, Washington, and Toronto, have announced that they have the actual man in the building. They got him. He's in the bullpen. He's ready to go for this session.
Awesome. That's what I love to hear.
Get ready to see him in a Mavs uniform.
That's exciting news.
All right, let's go ahead.
Although, just a little update from that game, which is the Swashbucklers and the Mavericks.
Yeah.
Mavs took an early 1-0. Right back did the Swashbucklers come with a solo home run. 1-1 in that little eco game. Fun to see those guys having a good time.
Yeah, we're going to talk eco in a little bit, actually. If you give me a few seconds here, I can hop right in and tell you about an eco game that ended the other day. Let's talk about, I mentioned it earlier and I brought up Sunny Street here, but let's talk about Goldies and Ravens for a moment. That was definitely a very interesting game for a lot of reasons. Obviously, you had Knock McToad coming off that game where he got the win after giving up quite a few runs for the Devil Rays. He's coming down to Eco to pitch against Sunny Streaker, who's looking for some sort of resurgence. Let's start in the bottom of the second, where Sunny Streaker would actually get some action behind the plate this time, as he hits a single out to right field. Jamerson Wells to come across the score, giving the Goldies a 1-0 lead. Then Schwartz will come up and walk home a run. You don't see that often. Moon Professor will score off the RBI walk for Schwartz. 2-0 Gold Coast. Top of the fourth, Red Trapper, who's definitely been a help for Tampa Bay on offense. He got the session off for the Devil Rays, so he came down to help his friends out in New Haven. He hits a solo home run out to right field. He will come around and score, making it 2-1 Goldies. In the bottom of the fourth, what is it with these pitchers hitting? Oliver Yu hits a triple to right field. Dominic Vielbaum comes in to score. 3-1 Goldies. Goldies hang on and win 3-1. Sunny Streaker wins player of the game with 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, a strikeout, and a go-ahead RBI single. A few other guys had some great games. Jameson Wells going 1 for 2 with a hit and a walk. I mean, Eco's alive and well. That's what I have to say after watching this game. Do y'all agree?
What type of big names we had in this game? You already talked about the pitchers. You got Donk, Sonny, and you. Big names. We can't forget about Zarzar, Brohi Brotani, Dominus, obviously in the game too, Peter Buckershine. You got some real big names that were in the Eco game, and they showed up, man. The pitching was phenomenal. Hitters did what they had to do. Just don't forget about my man Willie. Shout out to the 203 New Haven. That's where I'm from. Shout out to those boys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was Kyle. You umped that game, didn't you?
I did. It was an incredibly fun game to ump. Donked and Sonny were both really active and really wanting to keep that game going. So it was a pleasure to be able to ump that one.
I mean, I think that it was kind of crazy because that game finished in like 4 days.
Oh, it was 4 days and 8 hours.
And you know, it's kind of funny because you know the Ravens is a team of like you know the Rockies are on there as well together with the Devil Rays and I think the Dodgers as well. And you know we had 2 of the new guys that were in Echo and they were playing this game and they were like, oh man, this is actually like it's going pretty fast. And we're like, yeah, that's not how it normally happens around here. Like, don't get used to like 4-day games,
yeah,
because that's just unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah. To add on to that, you brought up Peter Peckershine a few minutes ago. Peckershine's an interesting case. He obviously had a great offensive game last session against Seattle that got him player of the session in the AL, and here he is in Eco going 2 for 2 once again. I mean, Tampa Bay has a loaded outfield. That's no secret. They have Big Baseball Face out there and Nominus, and they definitely have a log jam. So a guy like Peckershine, who can play the corners, he isn't really a center field kind of guy. They have a lot of guys who can play the corners, but just can't play the middle. I mean, at what point, who's got to be the 4th guy? I mean, obviously, McBaseball Face has an incredible average. Peckershine's doing great. Nominus, I mean, when it comes to activity versus stats, I mean, who's going to have to sit the bench? Do you guys have an answer to that one?
Got to be honest, I didn't hear anything you said.
Sorry, can you guys
I did
hear
not
me?
hear the end of that question.
Sorry about that. I mean, the question was primarily just who do you guys think is the odd man out of this Tampa Bay outfield? Having guys like Nominus and Peckershine playing in the Eco League and putting up great numbers. I mean, you saw Peckershine went 2 for 2 in this game after what he did for Tampa Bay last session. Who's the odd man out in this Tampa Bay outfield?
It's tough. They do have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outfielders, and 3 of them are producing, like you said. Don't forget, you got Frudenberger too, who can play center field for that team. He may be a primary shot, but he can play center for that team. And you got Red Trapper who can play left field too. They've got a lot of options in that outfield. It's going to be really cool to see how they move them around. Obviously, you got matchups. You got, let's see, 4 different lefties they can put out there and 4 different righties. So they can mix and match as much as they want. They may not have that 4th man out. They may use all of their outfielders every game.
All right, I have breaking news,
guys. I think you might be right.
Sorry to interrupt the topic. I do have breaking news right now. The pitch is in Arlington. Sloppy Thurston has thrown. Post is up. Caleb Van Vactor is officially up to the plate. He's been pinged on Reddit and Discord. This is real, guys. The perfect game is right here. It is imminent, guys. If Caleb and Vactor can get out right here, and Sloppy Thurston gets an out. And that is it. We have history in the making. So we can get back to the topic in the session. I just wanted to let everybody know that Caleb and Vactor has been pinged on Reddit and Discord, and he is officially up to bat for the Oakland A's. One more out again, and Sloppy Thurston has a perfect game. All right, you can continue, Jack.
Just wow. Did either of you ever think this was even going to be possible in the MLR? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't.
No, I honestly, I still don't really think it's possible, but I mean, I guess we're about to find out.
Let me do this. Even if this man, Van Vector, is able to get on base, whether it be walk, hit by pitch, base hit, home run, whatever the case may be, give it up for Sloppy, regardless of if he gets this or not, man. This is an incredible, gutsy rookie performance for this man, and just phenomenal.
I mean, I think considering how many walks there are in this game, you know, and getting a walk is not an unusual thing in the way this game is set up. I think throwing a no-hitter is impressive, but throwing a perfect game it's just insane, you know. That means that you didn't have a single guy coming within anywhere between like 160 to 200 digits of your pitch. That's insane.
So that would be, what, 18 batters that he went through? So that is the lineup twice.
Yeah.
See, everybody only got to see him 2 times.
18 up, 18 down.
Yeah, nobody figured out a single pattern in this man. Maybe he's praying to some god that he knows. Maybe he's got a formula. Maybe guessing. It is a guessing game. So that's just so crazy.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen.
It sure is.
Oh, quick thing. I believe Thurston only gave up in his 2 innings. He gave up 1 hit last session. So that means out of he gave up 1 walk and 1 hit. So if I did my math correct, that means if he finishes it out, that's 18, and then what we would have had 8. So he would have faced a total of 26 hitters in the last 2 games and only allowed 2 base runners.
And somebody wanted to say in our game discussion that he's not an all-star.
Well, we did debate that earlier. The 3 of us. That was one of our first topics. If Sloppy Thurston finishes out, does he belong on the all-star team? He's only been here for 2 sessions now.
I still don't think so.
Well, obviously, we don't know the full rules and breakdown of how many pitchers we're going to have on there. You have some guys in front of him.
In my eyes, when you look at all-stars for this, now we have a, 18-session long season, and we have our all-star game after the 9th session of it, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So halfway through, man, I can't look at him and think he's not one of the best pitchers. He's already proved it in my eyes. Regardless if he gets this or not, I think he's already proved it.
Let me ask this question. Regardless of All-Star, take All-Star out of the picture. Do you think Cy Young is still in consideration? Regardless, if he can continue up the pace. Obviously not perfect game. Do you think he's a Cy Young contender?
We can't even... we can't talk about. Like I said, we've got 12 more sessions.
Right.
All-Star's easy to talk about because you only got 9 sessions to talk about.
I mean, it's hard.
I
think it's hard, right? Because, let's just say he throws it now, right? But what if he has a terrible rest of the season? He has a 7 ERA or whatever. You know, you're not gonna give this guy the Cy Young because he threw 1 perfect game. You know, I think this game is also about longevity. You know, and I think the real, I mean, you'd have a hard time if they keep it up overlooking guys like Vader and Gerson. You know, you're looking for guys that can keep it up inning after inning, game after game. You know,
that is true.
Don't forget my boy WS.
What was that? Good.
Don't forget my boy Tiberius.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty. Quick live look and back out to Citizens Bank Ballpark in Philadelphia. Quentin Kimbrell, the result has come back in. Looks like he hits a little number to the left side for a 450 difference. The pitch was a 959. So that's going to be 2 outs here in Philadelphia. I believe we have the runner is still going to be on second. That runner is Mudflap Ricketts. So Hudson Quinn is still pitching. I believe the next hitter is going to be Rocky Moon. So 2 outs, a man on second here at Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Ballpark. Still, I believe, a 2-1 Giants lead here in the top of the 5th. So yeah, moving right along, we do have another quick update for you here in Milwaukee. The result came back in for Dark Bobman. Nobody on, 1 out as Bobman hits a right ground out towards first base, difference of 389. That is 1 out for them as there are only 2 outs left to go. The pitch is in from Colson for James Earl Pones. We are now waiting on that swing. 2 outs left to go until Colson picks up his first victory as a pitcher, which is definitely an interesting feat. What do y'all think about those 2 results?
I think Colson should be in discussion for Cy Young. No, on a serious note, though, he did talk to me. I had a little with him, obviously, as his general manager, and he told me he was disappointed in himself. And I said, "Why? What's going on, man?" He said, "Well, my main hitter, and he didn't produce a game." And I looked at him and I said, "Phil, I need you to focus on one thing, and that's pitching." And God dang it, did he prove that he can pitch?
He really has. I think it's super cool.
All right. What do y'all think about Quint Kimbrell, and what do we have going on here in Philadelphia?
Quint is one of my favorite players in the league. Coming from, San Fran as a player, him and Mr. Muddy Flaps, they are what a bunch that San Fran team has. They are some phenomenal players, and Quint as their lead man really has just shown up, and he's been on base crazy. Not this game, but for the rest of the sessions, man, he's been a monster on the base paths for them, and he can be their little mark, and he has proved that too. But you got some big bombers on their team too. They got a lot of new guys and young guys. They made a lot of trades. They acquired a lot of guys. I really like this San Fran team.
I do too. I mean, I like them a lot, but again, they're in the same division as us, so I hope they lose every single game from here on out.
Unfortunately, they will not.
Well, a man can dream.
Oh, of course. I would dream if I were you too, trust me. I'm constantly, what bothers me about this session is Montreal's tied with Pittsburgh and St. Louis at the top of their division, and Pittsburgh and St. Louis were playing each other. No matter what, Montreal had to win to keep first place in the division. So that was my big goal for the team this session, and so far they're helping me out.
A brief update.
I think.
Sorry. Oh, just wanted to spit this in here. You can talk. Brief update from Citizens Bank Ballpark. Rocky Moon's officially up to bat for the Giants. That's just the only thing. He's been pinged. All right, go ahead.
I don't really remember what we were talking about.
Montreal, weren't we?
We're talking about my boys, Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because now, as a player, and I don't know how it is as a GM, John. I mean, I think you pay extra attention to what's going on around in your own division, and also the matchups that you have with the teams in your own division, because you realize, in an 18-game season, there's a pretty high possibility that at least some teams are going to have the same record. In terms of going to the playoffs, and if you're both 9-9 or whatever, and it comes down to head-to-head matchups against a division rival, these games really count. So I think, like you said, with you guys with in your division and also in ours with the Giants, there's a lot of stuff to factor in.
And to your point, if you look at season 1, I mean, how many teams were tied there? Yeah. 4 teams tied at 5-2 in the National League, 2 teams tied at 4-3 in the American League, and then teams tied at 3-4. Well, obviously that was an abbreviated season, but 18 games is just an extension of 7. So yeah, you're 100%. You get into some crazy tiebreakers.
I think it might have been that way. We could potentially see it come down to run differential.
Very much so. Yep.
All right.
just insane, and that's when, you have like the Red Sox scoring 11 runs. That comes in pretty handy.
Oh, yeah. All right, quick note here. Back out of Philadelphia, Rocky Moon swing is in. He swings to 732. We'll be waiting on umpire Ed Hockalugi to drop in the result for that one, and we'll be right on our way in that game. Just quickly flipping around the league here. Again, we are still waiting on Caleb Van Vactor to submit a swing to let us know the result of that perfecto in the making out in Arlington. Let's get back to Eco League. We were just talking about Eco a little while ago. We never got to recap or talk about the other game going on there. The Charlies and the Bruins. Interesting pairing there. Interesting pitching matchup. You got Logan Anderson, who's now going to be a Brewer, but he's still got to pitch for the Charlies this session. He'll be actually flipping over to the other side if he stays in Eco next session to the Bruins. And the Bruins went with, of all people, Pete Wheeler, outfielder for the Twins, got the start on the mound for the Bruins in this one. But did he perform well? Not so much. Top of the first, Buck Cheeks, the second batter of the game, rips right up and sends a solo home run out the center field, giving them a 1-0 lead. No offense really again until the top of the fifth, where Sherby Fully Loaded in his first at bat hits a single that would bring in Jack Black, making it 2-0, and then Jimbo Fishy would double, bringing in Bajingo and Halliday. 4-0 Charlies, and then Harry Cox would come in and ground out, scoring Sherby Fully Loaded. Now 5-0 Charlie lead. Ricky Steele did come in to, at this point, relieve Pete Wheeler of his pitching duties. This is Steele's first action of the year with the Minnesota Twins in a new closer role, and we're expecting him to debut in Session 8 for the Twins. What do you think about this matchup? And we have some Brewers guys down here like Jackman and Crowbar. You got some Twins. Obviously, you got Houston and Baltimore and Detroit. What do y'all think about this alignment and everything we got going on in this Eco game?
It's fun, man. Me personally, obviously, playing in San Fran, seeing Supreme Asshole and Mike Oxlittle and Harry Cox there is awesome. This team is a good team, And if you look at them as a major league, man, 9 hits, 5 runs for a team with no chemistry is pretty damn fantastic.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about the Eco League has a really high level of quality. I think now it's the second session that they've played, and with the players that are down there, like you said, Kyle's game as well. It finishes in 4 days. It's impressive how well it's working, and it's fun. They're fun games, and people I feel like are trying their best, and it's creating a lot of entertainment.
Man, I just want that swing in Texas so bad. Oh,
We're all
and Soppy in front of his home crowd, man. That's gonna. I can't wait for that look.
Well, I do have a swing for you. It's not the swing you're looking for. There is a swing that just came in. C.W. Mitzel out in Seattle at Safeco Field. Mitzel has swung a 309. We'll be waiting on the Devil Fernandez crew to drop in the result at Safeco Field. Let's talk about another game that we haven't talked much about today. We did hit on it earlier, San Diego and Detroit, and the lack of offense we've seen there, and almost complete pitching dominance, which is something we haven't really seen all year out of Dick Woolridge, per se. But Kyle Grimes Jr. has definitely shown flashes of dominance on the mound. Obviously, the last time he was up to pitch, he got eaten alive, I believe, by, I can't remember who hit him up completely, but he's having a great session here. He did only get to pitch 2 innings, but he had a great session going. His ERA is dropping back to where it was. Is he a sleeper pick for one of the top 5 pitchers maybe in the NL?
See, I would love to say that. However, I'm a little concerned about the fact he was taken out after only 2 innings this game. Not sure what's going on there, so let's hope there's no injury or concern there.
Yeah, that is a little bit worrying, to be honest.
I totally.
I hope, let's see, Mr. Feller can hopefully fill us in later as to what's going on with that. But interesting to see that, because you're right. So he's a little under the radar. If he kept up that good game, I wouldn't see a reason as a GM to pull him, especially not giving up any runners in 2 innings. Confusing stuff.
All right. We also have some interesting notes here. Only a couple of hits for really anybody. I believe we've had 3 hits all game, which is interesting for these two teams particularly. Obviously, these are some low offensive teams anyway. Not a lot of high stats here, except for the one stat line that jumps out in this one. Forehead Jones potentially fighting for that starting first base spot for the NL All-Star team in a big battle of Emmer Bach. He's 0 for 2 today. How's that going to hurt his chances?
Big time. You got some big name first basemen in this league, and obviously first base is a big power position. So unless he pulls out some magic this game, he's not helping his chances. I mean, he's got 7 hits in the year and 15 at bats, so his average is dipping under. So we'll see, man. He's got to, if this game or come the next couple sessions, or he might lose that opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. I think right now, I think it's the sort of like, I don't think it's gonna be very long before we see the All-Star ballots. So I think people are gonna be making the last sort of push. They got to do it now.
Alrighty, let's hop on here. Since we were talking about Forehead Jones, let's do a little comparison. Let's compare him and Emmer Bach. Obviously, the big flashy headline with Forehead Jones is those big 4 home runs that he's been able to hit in the NL. Sorry, I almost had it mixed up with Grim Cart for a moment. Emmer Bach, on the other hand, has the higher batting average and has more hits, but Jones has the flashier home runs, almost like a Judge versus Altuve-esque kind of battle. In your opinion, if you're if you're the NL nominating committee picking the All-Star team, or you're a voter, you're a fan, who are you picking? Are you picking Emmer Bach, or are you picking Forehead Jones, or is there some other first baseman I don't know about that you're going to pick?
In my eyes, and actually this would reflect in what I was saying previously. In my eyes, I think Bach. I think he. If I had to choose today between the two of them, I'd take Bach.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I feel like, yeah. I mean, just for fun, I would probably pick Forehead Jones then. I think.
I'll fight you for it.
Exactly. That's what I was hoping for.
The most recent ladder report, Forehead Jones was 3rd in the MVP ladder for not just the American League, but the whole MLR. So that's huge. And then you see nobody else from first base there, but like you said, if he doesn't start producing and helping this San Diego team out, he can see him dropping those standings.
You want to know?
I mean, Forehead Jones has hit 4 home runs.
That is correct. I was going to hop in here really fast and
I think.
Oh, sorry. I was going to hop in really fast and bring you guys a third candidate potentially. Very small sample size on this guy, but take a look at Charles Moore. He actually just swung in the Diamondbacks Nationals game. Small sample size. I believe he is 5 for 6. No, 4 for 6 on the career. 667 batting average, a walk and 2 hits in this game so far. Really been the key source of offense for the Diamondbacks in this one. Really shown some strides. He hasn't had a lot of playing time simply because of some personal issues and trying to get some time in the lineup. But Charles Moore, in my opinion, coming right out of the gate in Session 3 when the Diamondbacks signed him, a sleeper candidate for potentially a reserve spot in the All-Star team, probably maybe even the 3rd best first baseman in the National League. What do you guys say?
Not only that, but his on-base percentage, he has a walk in the game too, so his on-base percentage is through the roof. Like you said, small sample size, so let's hope he gets to that minimum that he needs to get into the All-Star game. But if he does get there and he's got these disgusting numbers, it's hard to keep him off the ballot. That's for damn sure. How do you think he would be a reserve?
Like you said earlier, John, the numbers speak for themselves. And I think you'd have a hard time keeping him off, I think, yeah.
You can't argue it. You can argue personality. You can argue person. You can't argue numbers.
Alrighty, since we just we're heading towards that Arizona topic. Let's go ahead and hop over to Diamondbacks Nationals. Still, Moore is the most recent swinger, so Ovaltine Jenkins will be due up to the plate. I believe the Wojess crew is waiting on a pitch from Jay Bedia. Nationals, now that I'm talking about Jay Bedia, their rotation is also a very interesting topic. You have Jay Bedia, you've got Hudson Hollywood Hildebrandt, you've got some other interesting pieces, pitching games for the Washington Nationals. Is that their key component in what they're going to need to go out and win games, or is it more needing the offense to step up? What is it for the Nationals that's going to get them out of the bottom of the barrel, and start winning games once again?
You know, I don't even think it. I think they need a whole team bonding. I don't know what it is. I honestly can't even tell. I don't know if they need a team bonding. I don't know if they need to huddle up and I don't know, man. It's baffling to me. This team is on paper a very, very good team. They've gotten the numbers, some numbers to back it up. They've got their team batting average is only 257. They've got a -6 run differential. I don't know if they're just not clicking or what. It's tough to say.
It is hard to say, man, but I mean, somebody has to lose, right?
Yeah, and right now it's them.
And right now they're sort of like the whipping boy, unfortunately, you know. But I mean, yeah, I think it's unfortunate because I think they have a lot of really great guys in that team. But it's hard to see how they're going to fight their way back from this one, you know.
I mean, just in their current game, they've got 6 shutouts to 1 walk, and only 4 hits. So that's not what you do to win games.
Exactly.
Quick note here that I found interesting with the Nationals lineup. Nick Frizzle has been adamant about making sure he gets his best players into that lineup, and he definitely made some moves early on in the season to reflect that. One of the guys he consistently was benching was Osmosis Jones, who had a quick spout with retirement and is now back in the Nationals lineup this game. Osmosis Jones, of all the players, has the best batting average in the game. Nobody in the game has a better batting average than Osmosis Jones at the moment. He's hitting .444, 1 for 2 in this game. Nobody else can beat that. Bocantella, who has a home run, is hitting .400, and you have Omega, who's also hitting .400. Is it a managerial issue, perhaps? Is Mick Frizzle needing a come to Jesus with this lineup and everything that's got going on? Does he need to completely revamp everything in DC? Is that part of the problem?
At this point, it might be worth it. It might be worth it.
Again, it's hard to say. You know, I'm as you can probably tell, I'm not much for like ever pinning it on one guy. You know, I think it's an unfortunate circumstances. Like I said, I think it's all. I mean, again, I think we're seeing a lot of the teams from last year that were really successful, had a really good run, that have that have had a hard time this year. You know, Jay changed out a lot of the Phillies, and they're still struggling. You know. Yeah, so maybe it's just sort of symptomatic for some of the veteran teams. You know, maybe some of the, you know, maybe they're just letting up a little bit. Maybe they just don't have the same passion as some of the new teams. Maybe.
All right, let's flip on over to Rockies Dodgers. That's another game we haven't talked a whole lot about today. We mentioned it very briefly early on. Billy Cutgrass is at bat for the Dodgers. Trying to see where we are in the box score. I believe we are maybe bottom 4th. Yeah, that is correct. Bottom 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Billy Cutgrass at the plate. I believe 1 out, 1 on. Yeah, 1 out, and then a man on second. Valentino Sanchez.
Man on second.
Yep, that is correct. Garrett Evans pitching for the Rockies. I believe that's the first hit he's allowed all game. Yeah, that is correct. Garrett Evans is one of the most polarizing pitchers in the league, in my opinion. Obviously, he was a very high draft pick when he came into the league. Everybody wanted Garrett Evans, but he's given up a lot of runs, but he has almost near the most strikeouts in the league. I mean, obviously, you have Drazona guys who have had more innings than him, but for his innings, for his K per 6, he has a very good ratio. So, is Garrett Evans a good pitcher? Let me ask that question. Is a lot of the issues his fielding around him? I mean, what is it with Garrett Evans? Is he a good pitcher based on his strikeout ratio?
Nobody in Colorado is good except for my man Jack Alpha.
I was going to say I think maybe John should answer that. I think Jared had a tough start to the year, but it's also figuring this game out. You're coming in, you're new, you're drafted first overall, right? There's a lot of pressure. I'm not sure I would want that. All eyes were on him. I think it was a bit of a rough start at the beginning of the year, but then again, we weren't producing the bats. We weren't giving him any support. We weren't. The only game that we really got blown out was against the Brewers. But I think we lost to the Blue Jays. We lost like 4-2. Padres, I think we lost 1-0. They've been close games. We haven't been blown out of the water except for that one game. And I think now,
the numbers say otherwise. You guys have potential. Y'all have given up 24 runs and only scored 15. So that like you were saying, I think you're right. The offense got to step up for your boys because your pitching is not bad. Like you said, Garrett's not a bad pitcher, but y'all got to score, man. Come on.
I mean that has been the main problem because you look at the guys. They've got a 4.74 ERA. A 3.45. It's not great, but it's not terrible. If we could just produce some runs, then we'd be fine. But we took a break for a couple of sessions apparently, and now we're just deciding to just score all of our runs in one game instead.
Yeah, you might use your year quarter. So yeah, if you like I was saying, the run differential is -9 right now. This session it's 0.
I mean that's where we want to be.
Exactly.
We just wanted to get back into the black numbers, and I think we're slowly making our way there.
And that, like you said, no division's out of reach here. But I don't think there's a single team that looks at this standings page that we're looking at and says we can't do it. Not a single team, and that's what you want. You want everyone fighting in this league, and that's what we're going to get. It's going to be a dogfight.
I think so. I think you have a lot of teams. I think definitely also now, like us in the Rockies. Like we signed a couple of new guys. Like so did the Orioles. A lot of teams are getting a lot of new guys in, and there are a lot of let's call them more quiet teams out there that maybe you don't see their color that much around the Discord. But I am 100% sure that a lot of these guys, a lot of these teams, all these guys are active in their own Discords, in their own clubhouse. I have no doubt about that. I know that I think every single team is working extremely hard at winning these games, and I think people take this very seriously considering it's a fake baseball game. So I'm actually I'm really looking forward to sort of this has been like sort of the first third of the season. And I'm really looking forward to the remaining 2/3. I think it's going to be exciting.
I totally agree with both of you. This is definitely shaking out to be a really exciting next 2/3 of the season. Quick hop over to Citizens Bank Ballpark. The result is in on a Rocky Moon swing. Quinn throws one right over the plate and Moon hits it, but only can slap it over to the left side. Third baseman throws it to first, and that'll retire the side. I don't believe that there was actually one hit for the Giants, but they will go down as we head to the correct me if I'm wrong, the bottom of the 4th inning. Bottom of the 5th inning, rather. Schmeckel should be back up to pitch some more. And I believe Casey Batts will be due up for the Philadelphia Phillies here. Still 2-1 lead for the San Francisco Giants as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. With about 10 minutes left to go here, let's just go back around the league and just cover if there's any other topics you guys want to hit on with a couple of these teams. Oakland and Texas, obviously, our big game right now going on. Still waiting on that swing from Caleb Van Vactor to potentially make MLR history. Anything you guys want to touch on with these two teams?
I had the luxury of Texas games, and they lost, and now seeing them, they're on a nice little streak here. They that little run. And it's 12 strikeouts. Jesus, fucking 12 strikeouts. Are you kidding me, man? Are you kidding me?
That's pretty crazy. It's
sorry to interrupt, but especially when you think about what it takes to get strikeouts. It's not like you need those crazy differences. So these A's hitters have been nipping. They've been nipping around the edge. Results, man.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think a strikeout is all things considered is a pretty fairly like it's a fairly narrow margin, because there's a lot of other variables. You've got left ground outs, like right field ground outs. You've got pop ups, you've got fly outs. So in order to consistently get strikes, you have to be, very consistent in the way that you pitch, and 12 strikeouts is just incredible.
All right, let's quickly hop on over to Cardinals Pirates. If anything you guys want to touch on left in this game, still waiting on Steve Sherwin to swing. 7-2 is the Cardinals lead at the moment. Anything you guys want to touch on with this game and the way things are shaping up?
Personally, I think it's over.
Yeah,
I think St. Louis is too good of a team to let this lead slip.
All right, John Cheenah, let's head on over to your game here in Montreal and Brewers. Still, James Earl Pone still waiting on that swing. Any final thoughts from either of you, Jack or John, on this Montreal-Milwaukee game?
Jack, I want to hear what you think of Montreal.
What I think of Montreal?
I want to hear it.
I mean, you guys beat us in like session 2, I think, and
it doesn't matter.
No, and Tiberius talks a lot of shit. But
he is very good at that. You are correct.
So I believe he called us a dumpster full of acid that's on fire. I believe it's like the way he referred to us. So
confirm or deny due to the fact I was not a part of the team at the time. However, I'm now looking back at the box score for your game. And it looks like your pitchers let you down, and then they gave up 2 runs in the second. You guys came back and squared them into a homer. But Montreal had a little too much in the tank for you guys, winning 3-1, like you were saying.
Yeah.
I think warranted that Tiberius talk shit. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think
a little too far. In my eyes, it is.
All I'm saying is that I think it's not very hard to talk shit against a team that you're not going to face against for the rest of the season. That's all I'm saying. I just wish you would, like, if we were beating you guys again, it's like fair enough, and then we'll see who's better. But it's like we don't really have a chance to retaliate. No, but I really like Montreal. I like a lot of you guys, and I think you guys are still hot. And it's so much fun to listen to the way that the league has sort of changed from the beginning of or like the end of last year to this year. How from every session there's a new hot team. Like at the start it was a lot of like the Blue Jays and the Expos. Now you have the Devil Rays. You have all these teams. The Red Sox as well, winning 3 in a row. Rangers potentially throwing a perfect game. This league is that. I mean, it's crazy. Anything can happen. So I definitely would not count the Expos out of it at all.
And I will say this: the signing of Osmond Columbus from Montreal, while it may not show up in the box score, he may not be off as hot of a start as he wanted. He's only 1 for 6 so far. But the presence, the way he has changed the clubhouse from an insider, it's so extremely underrated. Nobody will except for this Montreal team. So I think personally the turning point for these guys is when Ozanam came, the amount of scouting this man does, it would put any scout team to shame. He has changed this team for the better, and it's so awesome to see.
That's great to hear, man. And I think you need those characters, I think you need those characters, and I think you, like you said, all it takes in this game, man, is bringing in one new guy, and that can change the entire atmosphere around the clubhouse. And I think that's what we're seeing a lot of teams doing now. So I think my opinion is that you could see. I think some of these dark horses, some of these teams that we're writing off, that people are thinking, well, the A's, Rockies as well. I'm going to be biased there, but some of these teams that you're looking at the record now, going, that's not great. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams goes on a crazy win streak and turns it all around, just because they've added, like you said, whether it's Osannam or like the Orioles added a couple of new guys, just because they added a couple of new guys that just changed the atmosphere.
All right, let's hop on over quickly back to
that's a very underrated part of MLR that not many people talk about is what type of clubhouse do you have? I mean, everyone talks about numbers and stats, but when it really comes down to it, I know for a fact the teams that are having the most fun are really having some of the best records in the league. I know San Fran has an insane amount of fun, even when losing. threw a party when we lost. Don't ask why; it doesn't matter. But that's really an underrated part to know, because when you're in an experience, like in my eyes, I've been with 2 teams, San Francisco as a player, Montreal as a GM. Seeing the differences between the 2 teams, and then seeing Montreal's discord and team evolve into what it is now, with Osmond, Phil, myself, Jack, Tiberius, a few other guys. Really, no one else talks about it, and seeing the camaraderie Montreal's huge, and I like to see that between other teams, and it's happening. How many people talk about it? It's like the little hidden secret of MLRs. What is every team really doing in their Discord?
I think that's definitely the most, like, if I could get a peek into every team's Discord, I'd just love that, because I think that's really where the heart of this league is, in terms of, we're all sitting around talking in game discussion, news, and free talk and stuff. But all the real number crunching, all the real stuff, I mean, the engine room, that's all behind the scenes, That's what happens in the clubhouses. That's where the real bonds are formed, and then you bring it out into the main discussion. So I think you hit the nail on the head. That to me, in many ways, might be the most important sort of X factor in this game.
And hey, what is this game at its core? It's a guessing game, right? You got one guy, in this case a pitcher, one guy a bat, one mediator, then the numbers. It's a guessing game. However, these guys have evolved this guessing game. Each team in their Discord has evolved this game into what it is now, with scouting, with memes, with all this other crazy stuff. So it's really awesome, and this league has very bright future in that.
Let me hop in here really fast and let me shift gears really quickly to some other final games thoughts I want you guys to have. Giants Phillies, we've talked about them a lot over the last 30 minutes, but just quickly, anything you guys have to say here? Obviously, we know Schmeckel is about to get back up on the mound. Any final thoughts from Citizens Bank Ballpark?
Go Giants, go.
Yeah, go Phillies.
All right, let's go back to the AL really quickly from our high-run scoring game. Haven't had a lot of action here in the last couple hours, but Boston-Tampa Bay, any more runs scored, do you guys think? Or is this it, 10-5, or do you think we keep going?
I'm going to say 12-9 final.
It's not over. I'd love for it to be something like 17-12, and just if they just go absolutely crazy towards the end of the game. But yeah, I think John might be right. I think we might see a couple of more runs from each team. I would honestly, if it's a real shame that we can't put money on this game, because I would happily put $20 on the Devil Rays tying this game up before it's over. But we'll see.
All right. Quick other AL matchup: Twins and Mariners. Wilbur-Woods game of the session. Here's my final question for you guys: do you think the Mariners will score a run in this one before it's all said and done?
What inning were they in again?
They are currently in the 4th. They just ended the 4th. Twins are back up to bat right now, top of the 5th. We're still waiting on the result of that swing from C.W. Mitzel. Devil Fernandez should be on that any second.
I mean, top of the 5th. I'd say they get a couple of hits. Do they get a run? I don't know. It's tough.
Quick answer: no. Wrong answer: hell no.
Yeah, I think John might be right.
All right.
I think it might be game over.
I definitely agree with both of you. I do not think they'll score again. Moving on, Blue Jays Orioles. Let's take a quick hit out to Camden Yards. Any final thoughts here? Do you think the offense will spark for either team? Do you think the pitching will falter? What do you think happens here to end this one?
Which team again?
What was that?
Which game?
Oh, Toronto-Baltimore.
Toronto's running away with it. The Baltimore chance of those games.
Yeah, it's hard to see how they're not going to win it.
Hold on, is this game 7-0 or 3-0?
This is 3-0, as far as I know.
Okay, because the roundup says 7-0.
Yeah, I feel like Mattis has been saying it's 8-0 for a while.
I think Toronto's actually whipping them.
I'm trying to. The scoreboard says 3-0. So unless Woj or who is that? Who's the that's Don Doyer. That's the new Gino and Ted James crew. So either they have not been updating the box score, or I don't know what's going on. It appears that Ted has been running that.
Nope. Kyle, I have confirmed the Blue Jays are up 8-0 on Baltimore after Honcho's home run.
Well,
yeah, I was going to say I just saw that as well. He hit a home run.
Scratch that.
So I would say I think the Blue Jays might win this one. Yeah.
Yep, that ain't
this
a
one's
question.
over.
Okay, so moving right along, Padres and Tigers. Let's go to that one then. How do you think this one goes down? How do you think the AL versus NL clash of the session will play itself out?
Honestly,
in my eyes, doesn't matter. 2-4 teams.
Honestly,
they got to show something.
The Padres are in our division, so I'm just going to root for the Tigers. But honestly, I think you might as well just flip a coin. I think it could be either one.
Yeah, you with 0 runs, barely any pitching duel.
I think it's very likely that the next run wins the game.
If any run is scored.
Yeah.
If any run is scored, that's right. Yeah.
Sadness Bowl to anybody?
Imagine.
All right. Diamondbacks Nationals. Final thoughts on this one. Final thoughts on Stiefel, Bedia. Anything else we've got going on here in Washington?
Good to see Stiefel back.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
Jack, anything from you?
That's a tough one. You got two more teams near the bottom of the standings looking to make their way up. But
yeah, I mean, again, we have a game that's almost done and it's a tie game, so it's looking very likely that that's going to go into extra innings as well. So we might have two. I mean, obviously the Padres game has a little bit more clock left on it, but there's at least two potential games here that are looking like they might go into extra innings. So I think it could come down to the wire. One hit could win it.
Alrighty. One last game discussion really fast before we head out. Rockies Dodgers. Jack, any final thoughts on your team and your game against the Los Angeles Dodgers and their straight domination of LA?
No, I mean, I'd like to hit another home run, but that's about it. I feel, I'm not going to go ahead and jinx it or say anything stupid, but I have a pretty good feeling about this one.
I will say, as the umpire, no feelings either way for either of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a good chance. We just got to write it out now, and then look forward and look ahead to the next game.
All right. Well,
but in my totally unbiased opinion, Colorado's a better team.
I mean, just you guys. I keep telling everybody we got all the losses out at the start of the year. We're not going to lose from here on out.
All right.
Proved it so far.
Alrighty. Well, Jack, John, thank you both for joining me tonight. Thank you for coming on to the inaugural episode of MLR tonight. Hope you all had as much fun as I did discussing all the action. We will try to be back sometime. I have no idea if that's going to be this weekend, this week, 2 weeks from now. I don't know when this is officially going to be underway, but thank you all for listening to this podcast. Please let us know what you thought and give us suggestions should this podcast continue. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this tonight as much as probably these guys did. It was definitely great to look around the entire league. And be on the lookout for Oakland and be on the lookout for whatever Caleb Van Vactor is going to be out here doing, because we are